You are listening to Viewpoints from PlaceCloud. Cultural researchers tell stories of places from around the world. For the full multimedia experience and to support the creators you enjoy, visit placecloud.io.
We are standing by the Temple Bar Memorial, created by Sir Horace Jones. It stands at the point where Fleet Street and the Strand meet. This is the site of the old Temple Bar Gate, which marked the entry to the City of London from the West End. It was first mentioned as a boundary in 1293. Right up until the Great Fire of 1666, a 14th century gate stood here, and even though the fire spared the structure, it was rebuilt. Christopher Wren designed the new gate. There was a central arch for carriages and smaller ones on each side for pedestrians. There were 4 monarchs depicted on the structure, Charles I and Charles II on the western side, and James I and Anne of Denmark on the eastern side. At the end of the 17th century and into the 18th century, Temple Bar was used to display the decapitated heads of traitors. One of the earliest noted heads on Temple Bar was that of John Ayloffe from the 30th of October 1685. Ayloffe was a Whig involved in Argyll's rising. He was executed at Inner Temple after a failed suicide attempt with a penknife, and his head displayed atop Temple Bar. On the 10th of April 1696, other heads are noted as joining him. John Evelyn wrote in his diary, "The quarters of Sir William Perkins and Sir John Friend, recently executed on the plot with Perkins' head, were set up at Temple Bar, a dismal sight which many pitied." The population of London would have been confronted with the heads of executed traitors on a regular basis. Sometimes telescopes were even hired out in order for Londoners to get a better view of the heads atop Temple Bar. Other interactions with these bodily remains were also not unheard of. In 1723, Christopher Layer was executed at Tyburn. His head was severed from his body and sent to Newgate, and that morning, around 9 a.m., he was put up on top of Temple Bar. There is a story that Layer's head fell from atop Temple Gate and was bought by a well-known non-juring attorney named Piers, who resold it to Dr. Richard Rawlinson, the Jacobite antiquary. Rawlinson was said to have displayed the skull in his study, and when he himself died, he requested that the skull be interred with him. The Jacobites, Francis Townley and George Fletcher, were hanged, drawn and quartered on the 30th of July 1746 at Kennington Common. Townley's body was buried in the churchyard of St. Pancras. His head was displayed at Temple Bar, but someone recovered it, and for many years it was apparently kept in a basket covered with a napkin in the drawing room of Townley Hall, before being interred in the family crypt. Heads were continuously displayed on Temple Bar until the end of the 18th century, long after the main gates of the city, Ludgate, Newgate, Aldersgate, Cripplegate, Moorgate, Bishopsgate and Aldgate, were demolished in the 1760s. The road where we're standing eventually needed widening, and on January 2nd, 1878, Temple Bar was dismantled, and in 1880 the Temple Bar Memorial, which is where we stand today, was erected. At Theobald's Park in Hertfordshire, stone by stone, under the direction of Lady Moe, a banjo-playing barmaid who had married into a wealthy brewing family, Temple Bar was rebuilt. Crowds would come to view the rebuilt gateway, and Lady Moe hosted many parties there, including dining with Edward VII, the Prince of Wales, and Winston Churchill. In 1976, The Temple Bar Trust was established with the intention of returning the bar to the capital. In 2001, the Corporation of London funded the return of Temple Bar. It was again dismantled brick by brick and rebuilt as the gateway to the Central Piazza at the Paternoster Square redevelopment. It was officially opened by the Lord Mayor of London on the 10th of November 2004, now with no traitors' heads atop it.